This is your lizard brain, the part of your brain that keeps you stuck, chasing dopamine, procrastinating, running from your problems like a rat in a cage. What I explained today can be used to quit weed, quit porn, or any addiction controlling you. Or you can even use it to make you luckier. And it all starts with something you probably don't want to hear. You have an operating system that's keeping you stuck in your way of life. For you to be able to free yourself from your lizard brain, you have to be able to understand the three things that are actually keeping you tied to it. And the first one is what I like to call passive framing. If I told you right now that you have consumed, have watched more content, have listened to more podcasts than your favorite creator, than the guy that you want to be like, you would probably call me crazy. And yet, that's most likely true. I know that you do that because that's what I did in the stages of my life where I didn't feel like I was making any progress. It's kind of fucked up, but it is true. When you're not making any progress is when you watch content about making progress the most. But I remember when I first got into self-improvement, I got into self-improvement through Hamza. I would watch 3 to 4 Hamza videos a day. It sounds kind of gay and weird, but like Hamza was literally part of my routine at the time of my life. I was like 15 years old and I would watch a Hamza video before going to bed, and I would watch a Hamza video while in school at the gym because we had like fitness class. I would listen to Hamza while walking to my house from school because I live like 10 minutes away, and it didn't do jack shit for my life. A lot of people, when they hear about rewiring their mind, which if they know it or not is neuroplasticity, when they hear about this, they think it's a game of information. They think, oh, I consume a bunch of bad content, I consume a bunch of Jeffrey content, I'm not doing anything with my life. It must be that if I switch the information sources that I'm having, that would make the big difference. And it will make a difference, I'm not gonna lie. But neuroplasticity is not a game of information. It's a game of attrition. You don't change the neural pathways in your brain that control your thought, behavior, and core emotional patterns through new information. You change it through laying down a new neural pathway so much, so often, for so long that your brain has no choice. To go back to my story, when I was starting self-improvement, I was big on morning routine, night routine content. I had hundreds of morning routines in my life, hundreds of night routines, but none of them ever lasted for 2 weeks. And it's actually because of this exact issue that you're running into in your own life. And so I would literally develop a new morning routine every couple weeks, and I would be pretty consistent on some of them for the first week or two. But for some odd reason, which we will cover, I always continuously changed my morning routines. And it's because I never felt like I was making any progress. I never thought that they were actually doing anything. And then I would think that the only solution is to completely change the morning routine. And this is something people run into a lot. This neurological force within our brain is something that you have to use every single day, which is why it's so powerful, and which is why, without you realizing, it's actually been steering your life in the wrong way. Think about, for example, if I told you to notice how many blue cars you see tomorrow. Blue cars aren't common. They're not uncommon, but they're not very common. They're not like a white, black, red car. It's a fairly uncommon car. But if you actually thought about that tomorrow, you would see so many blue cars. And it's not because Honda, Toyota, and all these other companies decided that they're gonna produce more cars. It's because you were looking for it, and so your brain had a bias to that type of car. The issue is not necessarily that your brain has biases, because it does. It's that you have trained your brain by nature or by nurturing it that it should have a negative bias. And what I've learned is that if you want to rewire your lizard brain to be able to do the things you want to do in life and be productive and be courageous and be able to talk to anyone, you have to do the exact opposite. If you want to build a good routine, you can't pay attention to every time you fail the routine, but every time you succeed. If you're trying to build new habits, you can't pay attention to every habit you weren't consistent on, but you have to pay attention, nurture, and water the one habit that was consistent, right? And then the last thing keeping you trapped to this mindset is the fact that you keep trying to do and change things in your life without treating yourself like an experiment, without going into it like a scientist. The way I like to always put it to people is, if you saw a tree, you would notice qualities about the tree. Greenness, it has wood, etc., etc. If you saw your girlfriend, you would notice qualities about her. Brown hair, short, whatever it may be. Because of this, it would be crazy to say that you are the tree or you are your girlfriend, because you can observe the thing, meaning you can't be the thing because you are observing it. But the thing is that you observe your thoughts, your emotions, your mindsets, your actions, your physical feelings, all these things that your lizard brain uses to convince you to do all the bad things, the impulsive behavior, the addictions, is only powerful because you identify with it. You identify as your emotions. And so when you get a strong emotion from your lizard brain to watch porn, you do it. But if you realize that you're not your emotions, you're not your physical feelings, you're just the being itself, then you can detach. By curing these 3 sins, you create the gap between stimulus and response. You create the gap between you and your destructive lizard brain. This is how you actually choose who you're becoming instead of just defaulting into who you've always been. But the question still stands, how do you actually rewire your lizard brain now that you finally ultimately have the freedom to do so? Well, there's just 2 simple, quick steps to doing just that, so that you can actually implement them into your life today. And as promised, become more social, become luckier, literally change your paradigm, change your worldview, change the way the world operates around you, change how you even just perceive reality itself. The first of these steps is what I like to call mapping out the archetype. Because you've been lied to about your lizard brain. For you to be able to understand it, not to make it any longer, you need to understand something that's deep and complicated as fuck that you've never been taught to you about. But I'll make it super simple, trust me. And that is architecture of being. Let me break that down for you. It's super important for what I'm about to cover. Me and you, brother, we are a being, an eternal, conscious, soul, spirit being, the observer, right? You can again observe your thoughts, observe your physical movements, observe your breath, observe your actions, observe everything, but you can't observe the observer. And that eternal being, that observer, that is what you are. Now, for that observer to actually function in this world, to actually understand itself, it has to take on an identity. It has to be someone. It has to have a story about itself. It has to give itself a who that it can relate to the world with, right? It needs this identity, this who, to understand itself, and by understanding itself, be able to reflect to other people and understand other people as well. After that, you have your subconscious. So this is what makes up your core emotions, your trauma, your core thought patterns, your core behavior, like brushing your teeth. All of that is subconscious, right? Your subconscious, with your core thoughts, your core patterns, your core emotions, is there primarily to reinforce your identity. After you have the consciousness, this is the realm of the thoughts and the feelings and the sensations that you are actively not only aware of, but in control of. And so your consciousness is where all new info is stored, all new things you see, feel, touch, hear, whatever. From your consciousness, when this info is stored in there, it could either be completely forgotten because it's never used, it's never acted on, or it can be acted on and go into the subconscious and do one of 2 things. Either reinforce what exists there already and therefore reinforce the identity, or go against what's in there already and therefore go against the identity. And those are the things you typically feel bad, it's hard to do, work hard, go to the gym, etc. Obviously, info enters the consciousness through the physical realm. So what I see, what I feel, what I say, what I touch, what is said to me, what I hear, etc., etc. That's kind of how your being works. Now you may be wondering, why the fuck did I just get a lesson on that? Why is it so important? Most people think that the lizard brain, because of these evolutionist, super atheist, self-improvement creators, they think that the lizard brain, the amygdala, is just that part of your brain that's like primal, it's ancient, it's outdated, it's a beast, it only wants food, sex, and shelter, and it's completely not working towards your benefit. It's not in any way good to tap into. It has no pros at all, it's just cons. But if you understand your architecture of being, and you understand that the lizard brain is kind of just the subconscious, you start to realize something. Your lizard brain isn't bad or good. It's a protective mechanism, and its sole job is to protect the identity you currently hold, regardless of what that identity is. And the reason that understanding that is important is because then you understand that the goal is not actually to destroy the lizard brain. The goal is to rewire the lizard brain to protect an identity that's actually beneficial. Imagine if your brain could crave hard work as much as it craves porn, social media, and whatever drugs you're addicted to. But enough of the jargon, how do you actually implement this? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to autistically map out who you want to be. I'm talking, you have to sit there and talk to yourself and say, how does he sound? What does he wear? When does he listen to music? At the gym, what sort of music does he listen to? How does he talk to people? How does he greet people? What cologne does he use? What jewelry does he use? What does he have? For example, I bought a therapy. Like, what does he, he use day to day? Who does he hang around? What does he work on? How does he work on it? What fucking laptop does he own? You have to act like you're a novelist. You're a writer. You're a movie director building the main character of a movie. And you gotta be autistic about every little detail of his personality, his way of being, his hobbies, his actions, and his career and work. You have to be super autistic about this. I can tell you, I'm not being dramatic, I have spent thousands on doing this. I've spent thousands on courses to teach me how to communicate effectively and communicate like the man I want to communicate. I've spent hundreds on going from having an emo goth-like closet, because that's how I used to dress, to having a more professional business, casual sort of closet. But now we get to the actual mechanism, step number 2. And this is stupid simple, it's super easy to do. It just requires the one thing humans are allergic to: sustained effort over time. Let me explain. All you gotta do is you gotta sit down and make 2 lists. One list, everything he does, this new man that you've mapped out entirely, everything he does that you don't yet do. He works from 4:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. He reads an hour a day. He drinks 2-3 coffees every single day. He goes out and he socializes for an hour. He goes on runs every day. Whatever the fuck you mapped out, because every man's different. Every man wants to be a different thing. What does he do that you don't yet do? And the second list is, what do you do that he no longer does? And so one is a positive list, things you're trying to start doing, and one is a negative list, things that you are trying to stop doing. You can get hyper specific about this. And what then I want you to do is I want you to order both lists from super easy to implement to really hard. It would take an entire new identity to do that. So for example, you can have, for example, oh, he has a red light therapy lamp and I don't. That's super easy. You just fucking buy one for 30, 40 bucks. Boom, you're now reinforcing a new identity. Super hard would be, he never doesn't finish a task. That takes you learning how to work with your brain, learning about your flow cycles, learning about your actual biomechanics, and it takes a lot of work, I fucking promise you it does. So that is a super hard thing you want to put them at the bottom of your list. When you order both lists, all I want you to do is every week, promise yourself to get consistent with doing one super easiest thing at the top from the positive list and removing that one thing from removing the easiest thing from the negative list. And the next week, you're gonna do the second hardest, second easiest thing from both lists. And the third week, the third easiest, always making sure that you didn't stop being consistent with the first, second, and third thing you did. By week 20, you will have 20 new, super small, but important habits reinforcing a new kind of man. And you would have removed 20 habits reinforcing the old you that you no longer want to be. What do you think happens when your brain, your architecture of being, is getting 20 new different signals, also removing 20 triggers that were entering the consciousness, that were reinforcing the old subconscious and reinforcing the old identity? You start to become the man you've always wanted to be. You'll feel yourself wanting to use your phone because the little part of the old you is alive, but you just won't. You'll feel yourself wanting to skip work, but the desire to do work is actually stronger than the desire to procrastinate, even though back then it was flipped, right? You'll start to see yourself just aligning with this new man. This is what happens when you finally rewire your lizard brain.